Hi there. Welcome to this online course in which you will learn how to design a church website from scratch using Squarespace and having zero web design experience. My name's Jake and I'm your instructor. To tell you a little bit about myself, I have about a decade of experience working in small to mid-sized churches, serving in the areas of worship ministry as well as creative, communications, and marketing for small to mid-sized churches, including some church plants. Recently, my wife Kaylee and I have both graduated from Denver Seminary, and now we live here in Denver, Colorado, and we attend and serve at Red Rocks Church. Alongside of serving at our local church, I spent a lot of time investing into Churchfront, which is an online resource for church leaders in which my goal is to equip them in such a way that they can utilize 21st century technology to empower their ministry in order to reach more people for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Maybe you're at a place right now where your church website needs some updating. It's been a few years since the website been built, and you're starting to notice that it's sort of falling out of the latest web design trends and it's looking a little old-fashioned. Or maybe you're a church planner and you need to build a brand new website for your brand new church. Well, this course helps address both of those issues. There are a few ways you could go about this issue of needing a new website or updating your existing website. You could hire a company like Church Plant Media, which I would highly recommend. I've seen some of their websites. I've never worked with them personally, but just from the websites I've seen, they're beautiful websites. They start at $1,000 and then there's a $50 a month maintenance fee. That's a great route to go. Or you could find another freelance web designer out there. Maybe there's a volunteer in your church who could help you out with it. Another option is to invest in your own education and learn the skill of building a website. It's a lot easier than you may think. You don't need any coding experience or any advanced knowledge in order to build a website these days. It's just as easy as logging into a social media account and making some posts, or just as easy as writing an email. I promise you, anybody can build a website using tools like Squarespace. As a pastor or a church leader or someone who's heavily involved in church ministry in the 21st century, this is only going to equip you with another skill that you can utilize to help communicate the gospel to not only your church congregation, but also the people within your greater community in your neighborhood and your cities who you're trying to reach for Jesus. So while you could have went off and hired a professional web developer to build a website for you, I really truly believe that what you'll learn in this online course is only going to enrich your skill set as a pastor, and it's going to come in handy for you and your church many times down the road. Before diving into this course, I want to give you a brief overview of what you can expect and the types of things you'll be learning. First, we need to do a little bit of preparation. That's going to include thinking through the web design approach that we're going to take and making sure we have all the proper media we're going to need for a beautiful looking website. Once we've done all the groundwork and preparation for building the website, we're going to dive right into using Squarespace. And I'm going to walk you through every single step of the way, every click of the way of how to build a website from scratch using Squarespace, not knowing any code. We're going to focus first on the high priority web pages, such as your home page or a first-time visitor page. We're going to continue to build out the site, and as you do build those pages, you're not only going to be building a beautiful site for your church, but at the same time, you'll be learning how to become a ninja at using Squarespace.com. I'll also show you how to host sermon audio and create sermon podcasts. You also know how to integrate your website with online giving and other church management tools that are out there if you're using a third-party service like Planning Center Online or Church Community Builder. And then finally, when the site's all ready to go, we're going to launch the site. I'll walk you through how to switch over your domain or purchase a new domain so that your site is going to be live. All throughout this course, and then at the very end, I'll give you a bunch of tips and tricks on website design using Squarespace that'll help you make an amazing website for your church. So that's the general overview of our course. You'll see there's lots of video lectures, and I tried to break it down into relatively shorter videos so you can then refer back to them if you forgot something or you just want to refresh your memory on how to design a particular web page in a certain way. And then this website can also just be a source of reference information for you as you continue to build your church website or other church websites down the road. As far as the pace of this course, you can take it however slowly or however quickly you would like, and you can have your website built in a couple days or maybe in a couple weeks, depending on your own preferences and schedule and flexibility in order to get this done. I can assure you at the end of all of this, you're gonna have a beautiful website, but not only that, you're gonna have the know-how and this other skill set to be able to effectively communicate in the 21st century through online platforms. In this course, you're gonna watch me build a website for an actual real church. Deer Creek Church is based in Littleton, Colorado, and it has about 400 to 500 people on a Sunday. My friend Dustin is the worship leader there, and he's also in charge of their marketing and communications, and he approached me a few weeks ago about building a new website for their church. And I told him, like, dude, it's so easy to build your own website today with tools like Squarespace, so I'm just gonna show you how to do it here. And fortunately for you here, the student of this online course, I actually captured this whole process so that not only Dustin can learn how to build a website, but also you can learn how to build a website for your own church. And the reason Dustin wanted to have a new website is that he felt their existing website was starting to look a little bit dated. So I wanna show you actually what Deer Creek's old church website looks like. If we go here to deercreekchurch.com, the old website's still live. We're actually just about to launch the brand new website. But the old website, it's a little bit dated in its design. It has a little bit of a cluttered look to it. It also has a navigation that's not really that intuitive. There's all sorts of different pages underneath these navigation folders here. It's a little bit overwhelming in everything that's going on this website. It also has like the slideshow going on here on the home page. That's a little bit dated of a web design approach. So it's not the worst website in the world, but it could use some refreshing. And that's what Dustin and I did. So I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of the end result. We're about to launch the brand new site at deercreekchurch.com. Right now it's actually deercreekchurch.org is the URL for the brand new site. So here you go. This is what the new site looks like on Squarespace. And voila, as you can see, we got a video banner going on here on the home page, and we have some clear call to action buttons for people who are new. We want them to click on those to plan a visit. The site has a simple, beautiful, elegant design that Squarespace is just known for. And this is where we're going to bring Deer Creek's website to. And we are going to show you every single step we took and every single click to get there. Let's talk a little bit about the design approach we're going to take in building our church website. First, we want to keep things simple, both from the content side of things and as well as the aesthetic and actual look of the website. When it comes to content, just put the necessary information on your website and keep your communication clear. Have just clear and crisp, bold headlines and don't have big paragraphs worth of text. And when it comes to the aesthetics, keep it looking clean and simple. You know, this minimalistic look that we see today in a lot of our design made popular by companies like Apple, maybe that's just a fad, but it is the most compelling way to communicate in 2016, especially the millennial generation, my generation. We just love clean and simple design. Next, we want to make sure our website is designed for the visitor. The way I'm building this website for Deer Creek is to help encourage more folks in the southwest metro area in Denver to visit Deer Creek on a Sunday morning because Deer Creek wants their church to grow. So ultimately the website should be built and designed and optimized for the visitor. Yet at the same time, we also want to make it optimized for the congregation for things like being able to access sermon content, which is a very popular item on a church website, or listing important information about events that are coming up. We want to be able to refer to the website so that people can go there to learn more about these things. So keep the visitor as a priority, but also don't completely forget about the people in your congregation. We'll think through some really intuitive ways to lay out the site and keep it simple so that it's optimized for both. Next, we're going to use full width banner images and banner videos on our website. That's just what all the cool websites look like today. Why is it so cool? I don't know, but I think as internet bandwidth and speeds increase and more people have access to high-speed internet, we're using lots of images and large images, and we're even using video now that just automatically plays when you load up a page, and that's what I mean by those banner videos. And finally, I want to encourage you as you design your website, I want you to function as a guide in your website. I want you to pretend you're trying to explain to someone who has no knowledge about the church world how they can engage with your church community, rather than just speaking in a bunch of churchy language and stuff that my non-Christian neighbor would know nothing about. I want you to, in a way, dumb the language down to someone who's not used to the church world and church culture, and function as a guide for them to help show them a way to getting involved in your church community. One helpful resource I've found is called 5minutemarketingmakeover.com. And I'm not getting paid by Donald Miller, who's the one who runs that website, along with storybrand.com. I'm not getting paid to tell you about this. It's just like truly helpful and free material. Donald Miller, he's a well-known Christian author. Now he's in the business of helping businesses and nonprofits and even churches like yours just communicate more effectively through their website and through other marketing material that they have. So 5minutemarketingmakeover.com, and he'll give you all sorts of materials on how to improve your website. And those are the principles that I'll be using to improve Deer Creek Church's website as we build this new website on Squarespace. And finally, let's take a look at how some of these design principles sort of manifest themselves in some of the best church websites out there. So here's Elevation Church's website. You open it up and they have this full video banner playing in the background here. Usually they update every week footage from Pastor Stephen preaching. And then you'll notice too that we have clear call to action buttons. Overall, the site is just super simple, not a lot of text. Even when you scroll down here, they just call you to action to download their app, and then they have simple navigation both here on the top and the bottom. It's all mobilely optimized. Life Church, the largest church in America right now, they have a beautiful website. For being a 75,000 plus person church, they are able to keep it simple. So should you, so should I when I design a church website. The Village Church, again, wide banner image, clear headlines, location. Important information is kept important. Again, simple design. Hillsong Church, global church, they're huge. They have a clear call to action. Join our Sunday services or watch their services now. So they're all different, but in a way, they're almost all the same. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel when you're designing a church website. You just have to communicate effectively and clearly. And then here's 5minutemarketingmakeover.com. This is what I was telling you about with Donald Miller's resource. Go ahead and check this out, get access to these videos, and he will help you apply these principles that you could apply to a business as well to a church website. Finally, I just want to say that, again, the whole purpose and approach behind making better websites for churches, in my opinion and my conviction, is that the church website is going to be an evangelistic tool, especially for those who are maybe on the fence on whether or not they want to visit church. We want to take away every single barrier possible for them to visit our church. So that's how we're going to build the website. If you don't want your church to grow, I recommend not having a great website. But if you do want your church to grow, make a beautiful website, make it simple, and communicate clearly. Before we start building our website, we want to make sure we have some branding content, because we're going to need our church logo to build the site, and we're going to want to have a guide on what type of colors we're supposed to use, as well as typography. Those are the three primary areas you'll want to get situated before you start building your site. First, let's talk about the logo. For Deer Creek Church, I had Dustin, my friend, send me the logos for his church. So I have quite a few options here, different logos and different sizes, different formats here, even the original Photoshop file so I can edit it. So I have a completely white logo, which obviously you can't see here on the white background, but then we also have the purple logo, and I also made a little favicon image, which is just the tiny little image that's going to show up in your web browser. So have the logo in as many different formats as possible will be more helpful for you down the road. Next, we want to think about typography. For Deer Creek Church, it was pretty straightforward and simple. We're just going to use the Futura font on their website. That font is in Squarespace already, so we'll be able to be up and running with our fonts on there, no problem. but make sure you know what font style you're going to use or what font family you're going to use. And lastly, you want to make sure you have your color palette selected. So I went to coolers.co, and this is a cool site because it can help generate different color schemes for you. So what I did is I took the purple from their logo because they didn't really have a set color scheme, and I put the purple logo in there, and then it started generating some colors, and I kept the ones I liked, and then I just kept mixing it until I found this combination, which is what I decided to use for their church website. If you don't have any branding content for your church website, there are a few places you can go. If you need a logo designed, I recommend 99designs.com. It's great because you submit your project. So you say, I need a church logo, and maybe you give some design recommendations. You select what styles you like or don't like and what colors you like for it. And then a bunch of designers from all over the world are going to compete on your project. And then you pay depending on how competitive you want your project to be and what type of designers you want to work on your project. So a logo could be $300 or you could pay $1,300. That's a great place to go. And if you don't like any of their designs, you can get your money back. And to find what type of font families you should be using or what type of color palette you should be using, I'd recommend going to the design school at canva.com. The link is underneath the video lecture here. But they have a helpful little series of articles for you that can help you think through how to build a brand, thinking about your church's vision and values, and then talks actually about a logo. And then here for type palette and as well for color palette, it helps you think through how to select the right one for your church. Obviously, it'd be great if you could go spend 10 to 20 grand on a professional branding studio to come up with this sweet brand for your church. But most likely, if you're like me and you're in a small to mid-sized church, you just don't have the budget for it. But there's plenty of resources like this online that can give you enough information to at least help you look like you know what you're doing when it comes to this, sort of like it has for me. So that's it. Just make sure you have your logo, typography, color palette selected, and we're good to go with branding content. Having high quality photos and videos to use on your website is super crucial to making it look amazing. As you can see here, I have a few folders of different photos that I took at Deer Creek Church. I spent one Sunday morning and visited the church, took photos of everything from their Bible studies that were going on. I took some aerials of the outside of the church. It's beautiful. It was fall during this time that I took these pictures. I also have some photos of just the fellowship and candids of people hanging out and greeting one another. And then photos of the kids ministry as well. And then I have photos of the staff. I actually visited them during the week. And some morning during the week and just took some new staff headshots. And then I have photos of the worship band when they were rehearsing. Don't worry, if you're not a professional photographer, I do have a few tips for how you can go about getting great looking photography and videography on your website. My first tip is to reach out to your congregation for some professional photographers and videographers. Make an announcement or put it in the bulletin or however you make announcements and just ask, hey, we need some professional photos of our church. We're wondering if there's anyone who'd like to volunteer their time and skills to do that for us. That would be the number one ideal thing to do. Or number two, there's lots of great online platforms out there that can help connect you with professional photographers in your area. I recommend using Thumbtack.com. Thumbtack.com is awesome because you can go on there and you can request any type of service and it's going to connect you with local professionals in your area. So for example, what service do I need? Let's call this event photography because that's really what this is. We're wanting someone to capture the event of Sunday morning life at our church. And then it's going to go through, it's going to ask you all these questions. I would just say Sunday morning worship at church. And then you go through this whole form here and you just describe how big the event's going to be. Let's say there's going to be 500 people here. And you can say what your role is, maybe something like venue manager. You just fill out this form, tailor it to be very specific with the information you put on there. And then once you put that info in there, it's going to send it out to all the photographers in the area. And then 5 of them are going to get a chance to bid on your project. And then you're going to receive all these bids and quotes from these photographers. And for something like this, you can actually set your budget to be around, I'd say $200 to $300. You should be able to find someone who's decent, really knows what they're doing in the camera to take photos for you guys at your church. So check out Thumbtack.com and give that a try. And you could either also hire a videographer through Thumbtack, or most photographers have cameras that can take some great footage, and just request to them that maybe they add in maybe 25 to 30 video clips along with the photos that they're taking, and have those video clips be, let's say, 10 to 15 seconds long each, and then you can create some video banner backgrounds and stuff like that. Of course, all of these photos and all this video footage needs to be edited, so you could make a request to whoever the photographer is to edit them for you, to make them look the best that they need to be in order to put on your website. And also make sure when they give you the edited version of those photos that they're less than a megabyte in size when it comes to the file size of these photos. Maybe even around 700 kilobytes would be ideal, just so that those photos will upload really quickly to your website. You're not going to have to resize them or anything. Squarespace will pretty much take any photo size, but the smaller you can get, the better as far as the performance of your website. And then once you have all this media, make sure it's somewhere on a hard drive or on your computer that you'll be able to access it quickly as you're building the site, and you'll know where all these images are when you start building out these web pages. Sometimes you're going to need stock photography for your website. Maybe you're building a web page that you just don't have the actual photos on hand, or there's really nothing at your church to take photos of to communicate something. For example, maybe you're having a Christmas Eve service and you want to have a photo of something Christmassy on the banner of that web page, or maybe you're promoting a Easter egg hunt and you just want a photo of kids running around picking up Easter eggs to promote your Easter egg hunt coming up. Lightstock.com is a great place to go for those types of photos, because it's all faith-based, Christian-based photos as well as footage on here, and you simply just search through, or you can browse through such as popular photos here, and you can select which photos you'd like to use for your website. And what's great about Lightstock is, although it's not free, it's also very affordable. It's much more affordable than most stock photography websites out there. You sign up for a subscription, and you get a certain amount of credits per month depending on how much you want to pay. And then once you purchase a photo, you can always re-download it in the future. When you do download a photo from Lightstock, I recommend downloading the small size to make sure that your website's going to be quick and fast when people are opening those pages with the photos on them. Another great stock photo website is Unsplash, and this one actually provides free stock photos. They're not faith-based, but you might find some handy stock photos on this website for some of the things you're trying to promote, because it has a lot of neutral type photos that maybe it's just landscape like this or cityscape. And the awesome thing about Unsplash is these are all free. You can use these photos however you would like. You may need to resize them with Lightroom or Photoshop just so they're going to load faster on your website. But Unsplash.com, highly recommend it, especially if you're going for that sort of like hipster millennial look on some of your photos. It looks great with Squarespace. Before building a website, it's a good idea to have a site map that's going to be a roadmap for your website and how you're going to organize your pages and put them in folders and how the navigation of your site is going to look. I recommend writemaps.com. They have a free sitemap building tool that has all the basic things you need to get going with a sitemap. I'll show you the one I built for the Deer Creek Church website here. It takes about 2 minutes. It's an intuitive little interface here. And I just really built out the main navigation of the website, which will have the About section with the pages under there, the Get Involved section with a couple pages under there, sermons, giving, plan a visit. You know, it's not a very super in-depth site map, and it's not completely critical that you make one of these, but it's a great way to kind of visualize your site before you start building all the pages in Squarespace. Now that we've completed all of our prep work, it's time for us to begin designing our site on Squarespace. All you're going to need is a computer, your web browser, Safari or Firefox, and all the content that we just prepped, the photos and the branding content, and you'll be good to go. Feel free to take your time and set your own pace through the rest of this course. Maybe set the goal of just building 1 or 2 new web pages a day, and within a week or 2, you'll actually have your whole site built out. Open up your web browser and go to squarespace.com. When you arrive at squarespace.com, click the Get Started button, and then select, under Create a Site, select Choose a Template. And it's going to pull up a list of different templates we could choose from for our new website. For a church website, I would recommend the Bedford template or Hayden. For this example, we're going to use the Hayden template. On this page, you'll be able to preview the template both in mobile and in desktop view. And you can also gain some inspiration from other users of Squarespace who have used this template. Next, go ahead and click the Start with Hayden button. And here is where you're going to sign up for your own Squarespace account. So go ahead and enter your information, agree to the terms of service, and then click Sign Up and Create Site. Next, it's going to walk you through a series of windows. You have to accept the terms of service again, and then it's going to give you a questionnaire. We'll just go ahead and skip all this for now. And we will enter our site title. Simply put the name of your church. So for this example, we are building a website for Deer Creek Church. And then you're going to enter into Squarespace's website editor interface. On the right side, you're going to see what your website actually looks like. If you click up here, you can actually preview it in mobile, tablet, and then desktop mode. And on the left side, you'll see all the options for the various settings we can adjust for this website. To log out of your Squarespace website, click your profile icon down here and then click the Log Out button. To log back into your website, go to your custom Squarespace URL. In this case, is deercreekchurch.squarespace.com. When your website is still in trial mode and you haven't started paying for Squarespace's subscription, it's going to give you 2 options when you land on the home page. First, you can log in as an owner to edit the site, or second, you can log in as a visitor. This is great, so when you need to send the site to someone so they can see the progress on the site or give feedback on the building process, they simply just type in this randomly generated code that Squarespace gives them, and then they can view the website. But then for you, you want to click on Owner Login and type in your credentials. And that will bring you to your site. When you have started paying for your Squarespace subscription, you'll simply go to your site's domain. So for this one's bridgewaylittleton.org. So go to your home page and then click the Escape button on your keyboard, and that will bring in the login for your Squarespace account. And if you're already logged in like I was, it'll actually just pull up your editor. Before we get started with the designing process, we're going to make a custom Squarespace domain. On the top in web browser, you'll see it actually put my first and last name .squarespace.com. For this church, I'd rather have it say deercreekchurch.squarespace.com or deercreek.squarespace.com, depending on what's available. This will make it easy throughout the building process of the site to have an easy URL to be able to go to the site and log in and work on the website, and also to show other pastors or folks on staff progress of the site. You can direct them to that URL. To change the built-in Squarespace domain, go to Settings, go to Domains, and then under Built-in Domain, click on the existing domain. For this website, we're going to use Deer Creek Church. And rename it, press confirm. And now you'll see the domain for this website in construction is deercreekchurch.squarespace.com. This will not be the permanent domain for this website, although it will actually work as long as you have the website on Squarespace. Instead, this church is going to use the domain deercreekchurch.com, but that's currently being used for their older existing website. We don't want to switch over these domains quite yet because the new website isn't built. To begin editing your website, click the Settings tab, and then under General, we're going to be editing some of this information here. Under business information, we're going to enter in the basic info for the church. Once you've typed in all the relevant information for your church, including the addresses, phone number, email, the physical address, and business hours, go ahead and click Save. Next, under General Settings are the regional settings. This is just to make sure that it knows what time zone you're in. Once you've put in your address, it'll actually automatically generate all this information. And then you can also go under Permissions. This is a relatively important settings to know how to use. This is if you want other people to be able to edit your site. So the way you do that, under Permissions, you go to Invite Contributor, and then you put the name of the contributor, and then their email address. And then you can select which level of permissions you would like them to have. So for this contributor, Dustin, since he works at the church and I'm working alongside with him to build this website, I'll give him full permission to everything on the website. Click Save, and then it's going to send them an invitation to their email inbox, which then they can log in with their own Squarespace account. Finally, under General Settings, you can select Billing and Account, and this is where you take care of paying Squarespace for providing this web hosting service for you. So under Billing, you'll be able to go ahead and upgrade your plan to either the smaller plan or the full business plan for your church website. And you can also view any of the invoices that Squarespace has sent you, see all the login history on your website, delete the site, switch products. So this is good to know as the admin of the site, how to make sure your site stays up and running and paid for with Squarespace. Under Settings, go to the Website section, and then let's start with Basic Information. For site type, we want to put nonprofit since it is a church, and then go ahead and type in a quick bio for the church website. And once your bio is complete, go ahead and press Save. And then back under the Website Settings tab, let's take a look again at domains. This is important because when we're ready to launch the site, this is where we're actually going to either get a brand new domain through Squarespace, or we can connect an existing domain from a third-party website. But for now, we're just going to leave it with the built-in domain, deercreekchurch.squarespace.com. And under the next section in this website settings are the connected accounts. This is where you're going to connect your social media accounts and other accounts to your website. To connect my Facebook account, I'm going to select Facebook. And since I am an admin on Deer Creek's Facebook page, it actually is going to bring up all the pages I'm admins on, but I'm going to select the Deer Creek page so that if we do post anything from this website, it will go to the Deer Creek church page. Another important thing you're going to want to do here is change the profile URL. By default, it's going to have your personal Facebook page URL here. And what it's going to do with this URL is wherever you put social icons on your website, that's where it's going to link those icons to. You do not want them going to your personal site. You want them going to the profile for the actual church. So I'm going to go ahead and copy Deer Creek's Facebook URL and paste it in here. And then we are good to go for linking the Facebook account. So go ahead and add all of the social media accounts that you'd like to have connected to your website. So you can see here I added the Instagram and Twitter account of Deer Creek Church as well. Next, let's go to the Marketing tab under the website settings. And we'll click on SEO, which stands for Search Engine Optimization. So here Squarespace has created some tools to help us optimize our search results. When people are searching for a church in Littleton, Colorado, we want Deer Creek Church and then your church to come up as high as possible, especially in local search results. So go ahead and write a very brief and relatively generic description for this search engine description section here. And then when you're finished, go ahead and click Save. Another useful feature under the website settings is the security feature. Here you can actually enable a site-wide password. So if you actually wanted to lock down the password, if it's under construction and only certain people should have access to it, this is where you can go ahead and do that. but for now, we'll just keep this disabled. So when you get a chance, you can look through the settings a little bit more extensively, but to get us up and running to build a church website, the settings covered in this video are the primary ones you need to be concerned about. To begin customizing the look of your website, select Design, and then open the Logo and Title Editor. This is where you can edit the site title, which shows up in the top left corner of your website. So any changes that are made here, you'll see are reflected in that top left corner. Rather than having a simple text title on your website, you can add your logo image to show up here on the top left. So click Add a Logo, and then on your computer, you'll find the proper file you want to upload there. Here we have a PNG file, and it's going to upload, process, and resize. And when that's uploaded, click Save, and then you'll see the logo in the top left corner of the website. Next, we're going to upload another logo file for the browser icon. This is going to show up in some or all web browsers when visitors visit the site. So click on Add a favicon, and we have this very small JPEG image of just the mountains with the creek coming down without the text. So this will look good for the browser icon. I'll choose that. And this file does have to be smaller than 100 kilobytes. And press Save. And sometimes it takes a few hours or maybe a day or two for this feature to actually start working in web browsers. And you'll see that up here in the browser. So once your logo image and browser icon are loaded and they look good, go ahead and press Save. It's important to design your church website in such a way that it is consistent with your church's brand. One of the most powerful tools in Squarespace's website editing interface is the style editor. That's where you're going to be able to change the colors, the fonts, anything that has to do with the look and more creative side of your website design. Go ahead and select Design, and then select Style Editor. And here you'll see all sorts of different variables on the sites that can change. By default, Squarespace is going to list all of the different parameters that can be adjusted in the Style Editor. What makes Squarespace incredibly intuitive from a design standpoint is that, say you want to work on one area of your website, like the navigation bar up here, you click on it, and then it will show you the parameters for the navigation design. To bring back all of the Style Editor parameters, click Show All. Here's how you go about changing the style of text on your website. First, select the type of text you'd like to change. So here I'm going to click on the banner heading text. In the Style Editor parameters on the side, you're going to find banner heading font. And then this is where I can go through and change all the settings for the banner heading. So if I click here up on the font style, I can select a whole different font and change the look of this text. So you can see I clicked here and then it changed it here. For this website, Deer Creek Church actually does use Futura fonts. So we're not going to actually have to change a lot of the fonts on this website. I'm just going to adjust some of the sizes. So I don't like how large this heading is right here. So I'm going to go to the size and I'm going to scroll that down to somewhere around here. And then I'm going to click Save. So that saves the changes. Let's say I wanted to alter the font of this text. So rather than clicking on the banner heading font, this is actually the banner text font. I'm going to click here, and then you'll see this has a text transform effect applied to it where it uppercases everything. I would rather remove that so there's no transformation. So you'll see when I put none, that changed this. So now that we have uppercase and lowercase letters. I can also adjust the settings for this button and the text within the button. So over here, I'm going to find banner button style. And then right now it's on outline. I could have it be a solid button so that all of it is filled in. I can also change the shape of the button to be rounded instead of a square or a pill. I actually don't want to make these changes to the button right now, so I'll just press cancel and that will discard those changes. while we're looking at the top of the web page, you can also edit the parameters for the site header. Right now, transparent on banner images is checked. So since there's a banner image on this web page, by default, it's going to make this transparent up here. I could uncheck this, and right now the color is set to black. If I click show all, that'll actually show me this header background color option, and then you can go through and change this to whatever color you would like. For this website, I actually like having the transparent header, so we'll just keep it that way for now. So as we scroll down this demo web page, we'll see some more text here. So when we click on this, this shows that this is a heading 1 type of text. So heading 1 is generally always the biggest and largest size of text that you have because it's a heading. But Squarespace, if you actually click the show all button, Squarespace gives you a few options. You can have up to 3 different types of headings. So you have heading 1 font, heading 2 font, heading 3 font. Let's click on this heading and we'll see that's heading 3. And again, all these parameters can be changed. I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to click on this, and this is heading 2 font. And then when you click on the smallest text on the page, that is simply page text. So whenever you're just typing information about something on your page, the body of text that you have is going to be in the page text font. So for right now, again, we're going to keep all of the fonts on this page pretty much as is. This will work well because this church specifically wants to use Futura as its font. And if we need to, as we start building out the site, we can come back to the style editor and adjust the sizes and colors of this font. One stylistic tweak I want to make to this web page before I go on with building out my website has to do with color. I'm going to go ahead and change the color of the navigation bar. You'll see here when we start scrolling down, it drops down like this, which is great because it can make sure you can actually still read the text on the navigation. But I don't like this color, so I'm going to click on this and I'm going to go to show all so I can actually see this header background color. I'm going to click on it, and here I'm going to put in the code that I have for my color palette here, and I think I'm going to use the dark purple. And the code, the RGB code, is 955191. And then I can adjust this last digit here is actually adjusted. It's a transparency. So I think I'll put it around here. So it's transparent, looks cool, but it's the purple color. And then I'll click save. Another parameter I want to change is the banner overlay color. When I click on the banner, it brings up this parameter here on the side, and then I just need to type in the color code for that color, which I want on this site for the banner overlay color to be this purple here. So the code is 955191 because it's asking me for RGBA. So I'll put 955191, and now we have this purple overlay, and maybe I'll just increase the transparency to about there and save. Next, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the website where I can adjust the colors and style of the footer. So in my style editor, I'm going to select this area here, which we can see is black right now. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to change the footer to this dark gray. 76, 76, 76 is the color we're going for. I'm going to save that. And then I want to change the color of the pre-footer background. I'll click here and I'll find the right code. I think I'm going to use this beige type color. And my numbers are 206, 185, 146. 206, 185, 106 and 146. 146. And I'm going to save. So this was just to give us a good start at making the website feel like it's stylistically appropriate for the brand of the church. I encourage you to take some time and look through all these parameters and understand how they all work so that you can customize pretty much any feature you want on your website. I found that as I start adding content to my website and trying to figure out how exactly I want things to look, I'm often coming back to the style editor to make tweaks and changes to colors and fonts and sizes. So don't feel like you have to get this perfect the first time around, but this is just to get us started, and now we can start building out the content of our site. Understanding how navigation works with Squarespace is important before we go building out the content and pages on our website. So go ahead, click on the Pages tab, and on the left column here, you'll see all of the pages that are on our website. Let's take a look at the different navigation sections. On the top, we have main navigation. So any of the pages in the main navigation section here, the first layer of those pages, such as the work, and then about, or blog, and hire us, those are going to show up on this top navigation of the website. This template also has what we call secondary navigation. Secondary navigation is at the bottom of the website. Right now, this navigation is empty, but if I were to drag this hire us page down here, that'll refresh, and then we'll see this hire us link is now at the bottom of the website. And then at the very bottom of our navigation sections, we have not linked. This is an important and very useful section for the navigation because not all the pages on your website are going to have links in the main navigation or in the secondary navigation. For example, if I wanted this blog page to still be on the website but not be visible on top in the main navigation, I would just simply drag it down under not linked. And now this blog page still exists, as you can see as it's selected here, but when we go back to the home page, it's no longer in the main navigation, and it's also not down in the secondary navigation. To add a new page to your website, click the plus icon. This will bring up a selection of pages you can create for the website. For this example, we're just going to select a regular blank page. And you also have the option of the type of layout you would like for your page. We'll stick with blank here, and I'm just going to entitle it Test. And you click Start Editing, and now you can begin editing your page. For now, we'll just press Cancel, and it'll bring up my page viewer here. And to delete a page, you hover your cursor over the page, and then you'll see the little trash can come up next to it, and you click on that, and you confirm you want to delete it, and then that page is deleted. All of Squarespace's templates come with demo pages. That's why we see the word demo after all these pages here. And this website was designed for an interior design company. We're designing for a church, so we will not be needing these pages. It's great if you have a second, you can look through the different pages and get some inspiration for design, but we're going to go ahead before we start building out our own content and begin deleting these extra demo pages. So I'm going to hover next to the index here, press the trash can, confirm, I'll delete all those, delete this hire us page, delete their blog page. Squarespace does come with this README page, which you can go over and learn more about the template and how designing with this template works. But I'll go ahead and delete that. And then if I go and try to delete this, it actually won't let me delete this because this index here is set as the home page. So what I'm going to do is down under not linked, I'm going to add a page. I'm just going to title it home for now and not do any editing to it quite yet. And then I need to go ahead and set this as the new home page. In order to do that, click this gear icon here to bring up the settings for this page, scroll to the bottom of this window, and then set as home page. Press save. And now we can see a little home icon next to this page means that is the home page. And we can delete these pages. And now we have a blank website to begin working with. Now we're ready to go ahead and start creating actual pages for our church website. So go to the Pages tab, and we'll see how everything's empty right now except for this one blank home page that we have. And we're going to start adding pages to the main navigation to give us the basic structure of our site. In my writemaps.com tab, I'm going to pull up the site map for this website. And this diagram that I see here will look much like what the navigation will look like here in Squarespace. So I'll use this Writemaps site map for a guide, and this by no means has to be final, but it's just a good place to start as we begin building pages and building out the site. Starting with the About section of the website, I'm going to create a folder entitled About, and then in that folder I'm going to have 3 pages titled Leadership, Beliefs, and Contact. So going back to Squarespace, go to the main navigation, press the plus icon. Instead of pressing a page right now, I'm actually going to add a folder, and this is going to be the About folder. Once my folder's created, this plus icon and add page will show up here, and when I press on this one, it's actually going to add pages into the folder. If we want to move them, we can simply drag and drop them later, but this is a quicker way to simply add a page to a given folder. So I click Add Page, and then I'm going to just select a regular blank page. I'm going to title this Leadership. And right now I'm just going to leave it blank. Press Start Editing, and I'm just going to press Save. And now I have this blank Leadership page. Then I'm going to add 2 more pages to this About folder, the Beliefs and Contact page. So add page, keep it blank, beliefs, start editing, just press save, add another page to the folder, contact, start editing, save, and there we go. We have 3 pages within this About folder. So we see the link for the About folder here. We see it automatically does the drop down. You'll notice when I'm inside a folder like I am right now, it will actually bring up another navigation through which you can go to the different pages within that folder. And when I go back to the home page, which is not in the folder, that is not there anymore. Next, I'm going to create another folder for the Get Involved section. And I would like to keep it in the right order, so I'll click on the folder, I'll drag it down underneath the About folder, and then now I can add my pages. I'm new, Ministries, and Serve. Next on the sitemap, I have 3 more pages, one for sermons, one for giving, and one for plan a visit. So now, instead of making a new folder, I'm actually just going to create regular pages in the main navigation. Create a page. I'm going to call it Sermons. And save that. And I'm going to drag it down here. Notice how I could drag it into this folder. That's not what I want to do. I want to drag it to the bottom here so it's in the main navigation. The next page is Giving. Drag that to the bottom here. And then finally, plan a visit. that to the end. There we go. We have our main navigation. One thing I like about this Squarespace template is that in the main navigation, the item that's on the farthest right on the top here is actually going to turn into a button. And buttons are great, especially for call to actions. And the call to action here is plan a visit. We want new visitors visiting this site to just take action and show up at the church on a Sunday morning. So that's part of the reason why these are ordered the way they are. A lot of thought can go into the sitemap. Again, this is not finalized. We might end up switching some of this stuff as we continue to build out the site, but this is just a good place to start. Banner images and video play a huge role in communicating who you are on your website. It's becoming very common, especially to see churches and other large organizations and websites starting to use footage on their homepage. So here we see at Elevation Church, they actually update this with footage from Stephen Furtick's latest sermons. In New Spring Church, they're using footage that they captured just of church life, of people going into the church, hanging out, worship. And then Hillsong Church, looks like they're using footage here in order to promote their latest album that just came out. Squarespace makes it incredibly simple to add banner images and video to your web pages. To edit the banner or image on an individual page, go ahead, bring your cursor over the page you want to edit, and then click on the gear icon that brings up the page settings, and then click on this media tab. This is where you can either upload a still image. You click here, and you just select an image from your hard drive. But we're not going to do that. We're actually going to do a video. So click on video, and you'll see Squarespace actually has a little demo video here. So if I just press save, we'll have this demo video banner of water in the background. But we want to use our own video. So for Deer Creek Church, I've created this about 21-second video that it just highlights just different aspects of the church life. We have some drone footage in there of the church. So this is the type of video we want to have on the homepage to, within a few seconds, just portray what this church is like for potential visitors. So I'm going to copy the YouTube link of this video that I've posted on YouTube, and I have it hosted as unlisted, so not just anybody can come across the video. And I'm going to paste the YouTube link into this field right here, and we can see it's already playing. And as we go down, we can add a filter to the video if we want. If we wanted to adjust the brightness of the video or do some really weird stuff to it, Squarespace has those settings you can do. Right now, I'm going to leave it on none. I can adjust the playback speed if I wanted to double time, but I'm just going to keep it at normal speed. And then there's a mobile fallback image. So this is for the purpose of when folks are viewing our website on mobile, that's when the banner videos do not actually function. They instead, it's going to fall back to a still image because we don't want people to have to be streaming video over cellular because of the data issues there. So I'm going to click add an image. And then I'm just going to add this image. I actually pulled the first frame of the video. So you just have this sort of really blurry look of worship, and we're going to be putting some text over this, hence why I feel like the blurry image works better for this. And then go ahead and I'm going to press save. And then it takes like a half second to load, but once it does, we have an awesome video banner that is unique to this church. The banner section of your website is not only a great place to communicate visually who you are and what you're about, it's also a great place to put a headline and a call to action. Within seconds of people visiting your website, you want them to be able to grasp who you are and what you want them to do after visiting their website. So that's why a headline is great for just briefly describing who you are within a few words, and then a call to action gives them guidance of like, here are the next steps. If you want to visit us or get involved here, click here. To create a headline and call to action within the banner image, go ahead to the page settings, click the gear icon down here. This will bring up the page settings window. And then in this window, go to the description section. At Deer Creek Church, what they want to use as a headline on this homepage is this slogan that they've come up with. A community for people who aren't perfect and don't pretend to be. Period. This is great. It kind of captures the personality of the church and what they're about and what they're like within just one sentence here. And then we're also going to add these words below it. And these are just actions that the church is involved in and what people who visit the church can expect if they want to get involved. Worshiping, connecting, serving. If I were to just press save, you'll see that the text will then show up on the banner. But this doesn't really look very good. So a few reasons for this. We're going to go back into these settings here. When you have just plain text within here, that's going to show up as the smallest text setting for the banner text. I want to create this top line to be a heading, and I'm going to bold it. So now when I press save, the text is bigger and it stands out more like an actual headline. I'm still not totally thrilled with this, but we're going to go into some of the style settings to edit some of this. And I also want to add this call to action to this homepage. And the call to action we're going to add is plan a visit. And when you highlight whatever phrase or words you want to be the call to action, you press the link button here. I'm just going to put google.com in here for now, since we don't have the plan a visit page built. And I'll just have open in a new window selected. So when you click on it, it'll create a new tab in your web browser. You'll see how it's underlined now because it's linked to a URL. And then we'll press save. And now this plan a visit has turned into a button. Now I'm actually going to go to the style editor to tweak some of the style settings for these heading fonts. So I'm going to return home, go to design, style editor, and I'm going to select this banner area. Under the banner section in the style editor, I'm going to go to my banner heading font. And let's see. A few things I want to do to this. Let's go ahead and increase the weight. That is too much. Yeah, I think that's about as thick as I'd like those letters to be. It just gives us this more bold of a heading type look. Let's keep the color as white. And I am going to actually adjust the size of it. That's too small. I think around there is a good size. And then I'm going to edit the banner text font, which is this section right here. And, I'll start with color. I think I want to keep that white in order to see it better. And I'm going to let's transform it to uppercase. Let's maybe make it also a little bit thicker, but then make that smaller. And then I'm also going to change the button color to white. So this is getting there. This is where it's getting closer to what I like. I'd probably spend some more time tweaking this. But overall, this is a good start, and this is actually beginning to look like a website. I'd encourage you to keep the homepage of your website as simple as possible. All too often, people try to put way too much information on the website in general, but especially on the homepage. Let's take a look again at Elevation Church's website. Look how simple this homepage is. This is the bottom of the page. This is the banner. And this is all they have in between. If a church of 20,000 people can keep their website looking this simple and clean, there's no reason that a church of a couple hundred people, which more likely is your church, can't do the same. So let's look back at Deer Creek's website. And I've already went ahead and added some crucial information that I also encourage you to add to your homepage on the website. And even if this is the only additional information you're going to add beyond just having the text and some call to action buttons up here, having the worship times and location is crucial, because when people visit your website, often, especially for new visitors, they just want to know when and where to be. Now that we're getting into editing the actual content on a page, I wanted to show you first what the final product's going to look like. So on this page, we have some simple text saying Sunday worship and the worship times. I added 2 buttons and then a map here to show the location of the church. So to edit the content on a page, you'll see when your cursor gets down here that these tabs show up. It says page content, edit, banner, settings. We want to click edit. And now you'll see Squarespace do its thing. And this is why it's called Squarespace, is because you'll see that your web page is just built up of a bunch of squares. And you can move them all around. When you move your cursor over like this block, I can click on it and I can start shifting it around the page. I'm going to go ahead and delete all the items on this page, and then I'm going to build it again so you can see what the process looks like. So to delete any items, you just click the little trash cans. And through this process, you'll see why Squarespace is such an intuitive way to design websites. And there we go. This is a blank slate. Whenever you get to a blank page, it'll usually by default have this empty text box. And like it says, you just start writing. So here I'm going to select with my cursor, and I'm going to type in Join Us Sunday. And these are the different settings that you can apply for your text. So you'll see for this box that actually right now it's taking up the whole width of the page. And I can center align text, right align. This setting here is important. You could turn something into a heading, or heading 2, heading 3, or a quote. And then all these parameters for the fonts for these different headings, these can be adjusted in the style editor. I'm going to make this heading 1. Keep it nice and big. Then I'm going to press return on my keyboard, and that's going to bring us down here. And rather than using heading 1, I want to change it to heading 2. And I'm going to put the service time. So the first service time is 9 o'clock a.m. I'm going to press down the shift key and press enter so that it only does a single line return. If I didn't do that, you'll see it'll skip. So we want to shift, enter, and then I'm going to type in 10:45 a.m. Now I'm going to add a map to this web page, a map that shows the location. And Squarespace actually has this built in. So when you want to add an item to your page, you click on these little black tabs here. So I click on this. It's going to bring up different content blocks that I can add to the page. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find a map. And when you get a second, browse through all these different content blocks to sort of see what all is available to you as you build your pages, and learn just all the cool features that Squarespace has. Click on map, and then bam, we have a map. Because we already put Deer Creek's address in here, it automatically shows up in the map here. And by default, it just added this block here above the text, but it's not really what we want to do. We want this block to be over to the side here. So I'm going to click on it and drag it, and I'm going to wait until I see the line, this vertical line right here, line up with the text that we already put, the Join Us Sunday with the service times underneath. Right there. That's where I want it to be. Sometimes Squarespace can be a little finicky when you're dragging stuff around. And then I'm going to drop it right there. And now we have these lined up. Once you've added a few pages to your website, it's always good to click the save button here so that it does save all your work. And if for some reason your web browser glitches or you lose internet connection, you will save your work. There are a few more content blocks that I want to add to this part of the website. I want to click edit again and then press this little tab here. And I want to add 2 buttons. So I'm going to add 1 button there. This first one, I'm just going to write directions. I want this to be a clear button that if they need directions to the church, if they're looking at this on their smartphone or any device, they can see how to get there because it's going to pull up a Google Maps link. For right now, we won't put the URL in, but we'll just build the button. And then I'm going to add the other button. In this one, I'm going to write plan a visit. This is our call to action. This is actually the third time we have this button on the homepage, but this is really, again, the objective of the homepage is to encourage people to plan a visit. A few formatting things I want to do. I want to center line this text. And then I want to adjust the size of this map. So if I just put my cursor down here, like after clicking on the content block, put my cursor down here, I can just slide it up and line it up with the buttons. So that just looks aesthetically pleasing. And I'll press save to save my work here. And we're getting there. At this point, I want to check what my work looks like in mobile view. If I hover up here, it'll bring up the options for mobile view. I'll click on the little phone and we can see looking great. And I like how everything is center aligned right here. It looks nice and clean. And I'm really liking how this is starting to look. I'm going to go back to desktop view. I want to edit some of the style of the fonts here. So I'm going to go back to home, go to design, go to style editor. I'm going to click on this heading here and I want to tweak this heading font. I think I want to add a little bit more weight to the font, make it a little bit more bold for the headings. I also want to change the style of these buttons. So I'm going to select the buttons and go to the style editor. I would like to make it solid. And then I'm going to change the button color. I need to get the right RGBA code. So I'm looking at my color palette. Let's do this one here, 115, 147, 126. 115, 147, 126. There we go. And I'll press save. Adds a little bit more color to the page. And now this section of the page containing the worship times and location is good to go. When potential visitors land on our church's website, we want to communicate to them in such a way that we are guiding them with information that's helpful for them. We don't want to just tell them how awesome we are at the church or all the different great programs we're going. Those are all good things, and I think they'll grasp that if we focus on something else instead. And what I want us to focus on is providing information that's helpful to them and it guides them through the process of becoming a part of our church community. That's why one of the most important web pages on our site is going to be the Plan a Visit page. You'll see we already have 1, 2, 3 buttons on the home page, and the purpose for that is to drive the new traffic of especially people who are potential visitors to this page, and we want to encourage them to take action by visiting the church on a Sunday morning. When we click on the Plan a Visit button on the top right corner, the page is currently empty. I went ahead and created a demo version of this page for us here, just so you can see what the end product is going to look like. The purpose of this Plan a Visit page is to guide people through the process of visiting our church. So I want to walk you through this page and briefly explain why I designed it the way I did, why I put the pictures that I put, and why we have the text that we have. It's not set in stone. We'll probably end up tweaking this down the road, especially as I get opinions from other folks on what sounds the best and what's the most accurate in regards to the information. But let's just walk through this real briefly and take a look at this page here. So when you land on this page, the top we have this banner image of the people of the church. I think that's one thing you should always try to err towards, more pictures of actual people in your church, because other folks can relate to that. People see pictures of just buildings or random objects or stock photos, and it just seems so artificial or lifeless. So a picture of a greeter here hugging someone, like that's lots of life, lots of joy. It just kind of shows the community, shows who the church is. And this lighthearted little headline here, we're open every Sunday, 9 a.m. and 10:45 a.m. So people know Sunday morning at 9 or 10:45 a.m., that's the time for them to come. So when designing this page, you want to put yourself in the shoes of a new visitor and just think about the things that they may be thinking about as they're going to visit the church for the first time. And think about some of the extremely mundane things, but they're actually very practical and something people do think about. So under here, I have a simple headline again, what to expect. And then the first little piece of information I have for them is about parking at the church. Again, this might seem really elementary or simple or mundane or unnecessary, but I argue it's important because people want to know how early I'm going to have to get there. We'll have to struggle to find a parking spot. We'll have to park on a street a mile down the road. It's just a practical piece of information that can be very helpful to a potential visitor. And I also encourage them, get there a few minutes early so you can grab a cup of coffee, you can use the restroom, you have time to get your kids into check-in so that they have time to sort of get the lay of the land as they walk into the church rather than walking into the worship service right as it starts or maybe 5 minutes after it starts. That can be a bit intimidating and a bit overwhelming. So as we scroll down the page here, we have a banner of kids because the next section is about kids and giving them some helpful information for the parents out there who are going to be bringing the kids to the church for the first time, and they just want to know, what am I going to do with my kids when I arrive at the church? So I have a brief little paragraph that tells them they should go to the check-in area when they get there, and then they have kids programs available for both worship services, and safety of the children is a high priority. These are all small, practical things, but are very helpful for a potential visitor who's a parent. Some parents may want to know more about the kids programming at your church. So that's why I put this button here, more about kids, which it's not linked to anything quite yet, but when we build our children's ministry page, it'll have much more extensive information about the children's program that parents can click here and read about rather than trying to fit a bunch more text on this plan a visit page. We want to keep it short and simple. As I continue to scroll down, now we see a picture of the worship band because this next section is just about the worship gathering. So brief 2 sentences about here's what we do in the worship gathering. We sing songs, read prayers together, listen to a teaching from our pastors, and also just an estimated time of how long the worship gathering lasts, 75 minutes. And we have a button under here if people want to learn more about the specific style of worship that our church has. And then finally, the last section I have here, I just called it community. This has a picture of the lobby area where people are hanging out, enjoying coffee in between services. And we want to emphasize to the new visitor that this is a great time to be able to connect with folks, whether it's the pastors or other people in the congregation. We don't want them to just slip out the door, but we would love for them to stick around to get connected with people. I also included an email address so that potential visitors can just contact the church directly if they have any other questions about visiting. Then there's a Learn More button where they can learn more about Deer Creek Church, whether it's about beliefs or the different ministries that are going on there. That'll just link them to some different pages. And then a directions button which will link them to Google Maps. So that's our plan a visit page and a little bit of the philosophy and design strategy that goes into creating it. Now I'm going to walk you through the process of how to build a plan a visit page like this one. It's actually a little bit more involved than simply creating one page, and this will show you one of the cool features about Squarespace. You'll notice here that we have some banners that take up the whole width of the page here. The reason for that is that this isn't just one web page. This is actually multiple pages assembled into an index. We can see that over here. It looks like a folder, but rather than being a folder, which is one of these icons, you can see this is actually called an index. So go to the main navigation section, click the plus icon to create an index, and then select index. And let's title this Plan a Visit. And this is how the index will appear in our navigation. But as we can see, it's on the wrong side. We actually are going to drag it over to the far right side by dragging it down to the bottom of the main navigation section. And we no longer need this blank page here. So let's just go ahead and delete that page. Next, we have to create the pages to put within the index. If we look down here, there are 5 different pages within the Plan a Visit index. So let's go ahead and start adding pages to the index. I'm gonna just call this one Plan a Visit. And I'll just save it, keep it blank for now. And then my next page is parking. The next page is kids. Next page is worship gathering. And then finally, community. And now we have all the pages we need for our index. And you can see here how an index works. There's actually multiple pages are stacked on top of one another. And then we're going to add in the banners on top of each page, which will kind of give each page some separation. And then we're going to add the text in between each of the banners. So first, let's start with adding our photos to the page banners. I'm going to click the gear icon on the first page, go to media, I'm going to go to add an image, and I'm going to find the image for that first one, which is this. It's going to upload. And I'll press save. So now we have the top of our index has this image. And then I'm going to go to the parking page. And upload this aerial shot of the parking lot. And press save. And then I'm going to go to the kids page. Add this photo. I'm going to go to the worship gathering page. Add the photo of the band. And then finally, this last image of the lobby. And there we go. Now we have our index with pages that all have banner images in them. Now I'm going to add the text in between these banners. I'm going to click on the Plan a Visit page and click Edit up here. And now I can type in my text. So this first section, I simply wrote what to expect. And save that. And then I'm going to go down to the next page. And you can see the tabs for the parking page show up here as you scroll over it. So I'm going to press Edit. And here I'm going to write first with a headline. I'll do headline 2, make it a little smaller. Parking. I'll press Return, and now I can type in the text for parking. I'm actually, since I've already typed this all out, I'm just going to copy and paste it from the already created page. but this is where you would go ahead and write your text. And I would like to center align it, just my design choice there. And the other thing I'm going to do to these text sections is I don't really like how the text gets stretched all the way out across the whole width of the page. So I'm going to add some spacers on each side here. So I'm going to click the tab to add a content block, click on the spacer, drag one here. I can adjust the size, and then I'm going to do another spacer on the other side. And let's make sure these spacers are equally spaced. And there we go. Press save. And now the parking section is done. Then I'll scroll down to the kids section, and I'm going to edit the content on this page. I'll go ahead and put kids as a heading. And then actually I'm going to, again, just copy and paste the text from this section. Gonna center align it. Gonna add my spacers in. And press save. And there's actually one more thing I want to add to the kids section here, and that's a button for people to learn more. So again, rather than having a bunch of text about everything with their kids ministry, since it's important for parents to have access to that information if they want to learn more, I want to give them an easy way to find it. So I'm going to go ahead and add a button here and just put more about kids. And then later I'll go through and add the URL for whatever web page that will be. Press apply, save, and now this section's good to go. The next section is for worship. I'm going to click on that page, click edit, add in my heading, copy the text, add the button, more about worship, and then the final section, which I just called community. Add in the spacers. And this one I'm going to add 2 buttons side by side. One. And 2. And that's how we build out the content pages within the index here. So I'm look back at the top here. Finally, the last thing we need to do is add the headline on this top banner. So to do that, I'm going to click this gear icon, and I'm going to write in bold here. Then I'll unbold this next section. 9 o'clock a.m. and 10:45 a.m. Remove the bold from that. Press save. There we go. That's how you build a plan a visit page. There's a good chance that one of the most highly trafficked pages on your website is going to be the leadership page. When people want to learn more about an organization or a church, they want to know who's in charge, because often leadership makes or breaks an organization. As you can see, I went ahead and designed the leadership page for Deer Creek Church so you can see what the end result will look like. Sticking with the overall feel of our website, I try to keep it as simple as possible. You see that each staff member gets their own section between these line dividers, and then I put the name and their title in different headings, and then they have a simple little paragraph that contains a bio and then a high quality professional image of the staff member. For some staff members who didn't have a professional image and we haven't taken them yet, I made this placeholder image with the church logo to be there temporarily. This church has a board of elders and deacons as well as part of the leadership, and here we simply just listed the names using bullets. Now I'll walk you through how I built this leadership page. So over here on the left, under main navigation and under the about folder, I'm going to navigate to the leadership page, which we already created but is blank. My first step is to add the banner with the heading leadership. I'm going to click the gear icon here, and I'm going to first go to media, and let's add an image. I'm going to navigate to the photos I have for this church. And I think I'm going to pull one from worship, and I'm going to find a picture of the senior pastor. I think this one will work great. I'll choose this photo. It's going to upload. Go back to the basic settings, and then I'll type leadership, and I will bold that so it turns into a heading, and I'll press save, and there you go. Next, I'm going to begin adding content to the page. I'm going to click on the edit tab. On this first line of text, I'm going to add a heading 1, and I'm going to write meet the staff. Under that, I'm going to create a dividing line here, and now I'm ready to put the first staff member on this page. First, I'm going to add another text box. I'm going to go over to the old website, and I'll go to the senior pastor's bio here, and I'm going to select all this text and copy it, and then I'm going to paste it into this text box. We're going to format this a little bit differently. Not really going to change the bio, but rather than having the name and the title being within the bio, I'm going to have those be separate headings. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'll add the pastor's first name here. I'm going to press return to start this on its own line, and then I'm also going to separate these two. Change his name to heading 1, and sometimes it's actually good to use this button to remove any formatting from the old website that you may have copied from, just to make sure it's going to look right here. So I'll do actually heading 2 for the name of the staff member, and then heading 3 for their position. Then I'm going to add the pastor's image to this section of text. I'm going to click one of the add a block buttons here, I'm going to select image, and I'm going to add image, and I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the staff images here. And I'll find the one I like. I like this one. Press choose. And apply. Now this image looks really large when it's placed right here above the text. We don't want it to take up the whole width of the page. I actually want it to fit right within this text box here in the upper left. So I'm just going to drag the box until I see this square form. So see, it's placed up there, and then I drag it down, and then it has this square right here. And now it's within the text box. And then I'm going to add another dividing line below this pastor's bio here and press save. Then you simply repeat this process of adding all the text, creating the headings, adding an image, and then placing it in the right spot to continue to build out this leadership page. So for each person, it's really just the same process. So go ahead and do that for however many staff members you have. Once you've added all of your staff members to the leadership page, you may also want to add the elders and deacons of your church to this page. So I'm going to add a dividing line, and then I'm going to add another text box. I'm going to go back to the old website, and I'm going to copy the text for the elders and deacons, and I'm going to paste it in here. And just to make sure we're not going to have any strange formatting issues, although the format looks good from pasting it from the other page or the other website, I'm going to remove the formatting, and then I'm just going to reapply these formattings again. Heading 1 for the title of the positions, and then I will just keep a normal font for the description there. And then we're good to go. If you want to make it so your congregants or visitors can email a staff member directly, go ahead and click edit here, and then we're going to go to the text, and let's say we want to add a contact Dwayne link here, and that'll bring them directly to sending him an email. So I'll just write contact Dwayne, and then I'm going to highlight it, and then up here I'm going to press this link icon, and I'm going to write mail to, and then colon, Dwayne at deercreekchurch.com. And then I'm press save. You'll see that this is now highlighted because it's become a link, and now when you click on it, it's going to automatically open the mail application with Dwayne's email in it. Since this church is not going to have the separate emails listed on the staff page here, we'll go ahead and delete that. But it's really up to you and your church and what you guys decide is the best way for people to contact your staff members. For this church in particular, we're going to funnel all communication through the main contact page on the website. And there you have it. Now when people land on your website, they'll be able to go over to the About section here and click on Leadership, and they'll be able to meet your staff. For people wanting to dive deeper in learning about your church, it's great to have a page of your website that's dedicated to your beliefs and being more specific about where you land doctrinally as a church. So under the About page, I've created a page called Beliefs, and I already went ahead and built out this page because everything you need to know to format a page like this, you've already learned through building the other pages. You'll see at the top, I added a banner image, and then I added just the heading, Beliefs here. And then the rest of this page is all text that I copied over from the older website. I have heading 2 here that kind of is the main markers of the main sections of this page, like the mission, values, beliefs. And then I used heading 3 to be the next level of markers for these different value statements that we have here. I don't think this is going to be an extremely highly trafficked page, but for folks who are really concerned about specific tenets of doctrine and also the type of denomination that your church may be affiliated with. This is going to be helpful for them and may eliminate any question they may have or uncertainty about visiting your church. You can see here they linked this page to the Presbyterian Church in America because that is the denomination this church is a part of. If you'd like to add an external link to your denomination, or if you would just like to know how to add a link to any page on your Squarespace website, all you have to do is select the area of text you'd like to link. I'm going to select this DCC right here, and then click on the link button, and then type in the URL of the website that you want to link it to. And then you can have this checkbox selected if you want the link to be opened up in a separate window in the web browser, or if you just want this window in the web browser to bring them to that different page. So when you're done assembling your About page, make sure you proofread it or have someone else proofread it to get rid of any of those typos that may be in there. You want to make it extremely easy for someone to contact your church office through your website. To do this, we're going to create a page called Contact. That's going to be under the About section. Going to go ahead and I'm going to navigate in this folder down to the contact page. As you can see, this page is empty. I did go ahead and already created a demo page so you can see what the end result of what we're going to build is going to look like here. So you'll see the banner image with the contact heading, and then here we have some text and then a form. This is a newer feature for us to learn on Squarespace here. And I included a way for them to contact us by email, or by giving them a phone call at the phone number, and then also visiting the church at the actual physical location of the church. So I'm going to navigate here to the actual contact page we'll be using. And my first step is going to be adding in that banner. I'm going to go to page settings, the media, and where I can select my images here on my computer. And for this contact banner, I'm going to select a shot of the exterior of the church building. I think I like this one the best. So I'll choose that. Wait for that to upload. And then I'm going to write contact and make this bold so it's a heading. And now that I have a banner image and a banner heading, I can go ahead and begin adding content to this page. I'm going to click the Edit tab here, and I'm going to add some text first. So in this first text box, I will go ahead and write, "Send us a message." And I want to make that heading too. And under here, I'm going to write, "Fill out the form below," because we'll be adding a form. And we will be in touch soon. Or anything along those lines. Again, you have total freedom to make this however you want. I'm just walking you through what I would say and how I would build this particular page. Squarespace has a pretty powerful feature when it comes to building forms on your website. I'm going to go add a new block. And I'm going to scroll down here under the More section, and I'm going to select Form. And now it's going to bring up the settings for your form. So I'm going to call this deercreekchurch.com contact page form. And then I can edit the different fields that we have in the form. The name I want to keep. The email address I want to keep. I actually want to get rid of subjects. I don't think it's totally necessary. I'm going to add a couple more fields here. I'm going to have phone. It's always great if people can give us their phone number. And then I'm also going to add a form for a simple checkbox. This one right here. And then I'm going to rearrange these in the order I would like them to appear on the page. So name, email address, phone, message. Actually, I want checkbox to go underneath email address, and you'll see why in a second. And then we'll have phone here and message right there. And I'm going to click apply so you can kind of see what we've got so far. So these are the bare bones of the form that we're going to continue to edit here. First, I'm going to edit the checkbox field here. And what I'm going to do is under this box right here, I'm going to make it so there's going to only be one option. And you can see if I change the text here, that's going to change the text next to the checkbox. So I'm going to write, subscribe me to the church email list, or something along those lines. The reason I'm putting this checkbox here is after someone puts their email address, we can get their permission to add them to our email list at the church, which is just a great way and an easy way to build your church list since they're already sending you their email address. But you do need to get their permission, hence the reason we need the checkbox. Since I don't want it to actually say checkbox right there, I'm going to just delete that. And now we just see the little checkbox next to the opt-in permission line right there. Go ahead and build this form to whichever way kind of suits your fancy. And notice a couple features that are important to be aware of. One is this required checkbox that we have here for each field of the form. So when it's unchecked, there's no star next to the name, and people don't have to put that in order to submit the form. And when it's checked, it puts a star there, and they will not be able to submit it unless they fill it in. So I'm going to leave this unchecked here underneath the phone field because not everybody wants to give out their phone number. The next important part of editing your form settings is under the storage tab. By storage, it means where's it going to send and store this information that people input into the form. And you have a few options. You can have them send it to an email address. Squarespace can also send the information to your Google account, and within Google Drive will create a spreadsheet which keeps all the information organized. Or you can link it to a MailChimp account if that's what your church uses to manage its email lists. You'll be able to go ahead and connect it to a particular list. And for both the Google and MailChimp, you'll see you just log into those accounts when you select these buttons, and then you select which documents you'd like to make on your Google Drive, or you select which list you'd like to sync it to with MailChimp. For right now, one of the easiest ways to set it up is just by having it set up with email. So by default, it's actually set up to my email, jake@churchfront.com. If I want to edit this, I'd press the X button, and then I would go ahead and edit this text and put the right email address in there. For now, I'm going to go ahead and actually change this to hello@deercreekchurch.com. And then now whenever someone fills out this form here, it's going to be emailed to this email address. And then once you have all these settings completed for the form, go ahead and just press apply, and that will save it. Next on the contact page, I want it to be very clear how you can call the church if you need to get a hold of the church that way. So I'll add a divider line here, and then I'm going to add another text box. And then using heading 2, I'm going to write, give us a call. And I'm going to copy the phone number, which actually conveniently already appears in the bottom of the website here. If I can copy this. And I didn't copy it, so I'm going to go to my demo page where I already have it. Copy that. And then I'll head over to the old website where I can find phone number there, and I'll paste it in, and maybe make this heading 3, make it a little bit bigger, and I'll add another dividing line underneath the phone number. And then finally, I'm going to add a section called Visit Us. It's a little redundant since we have a Visit Us page, but if people want to know on the contact page where the physical address of the church is, they'll be able to find it here. So I'm going to make that heading 2. And then I'm going to add a map block. So go here, click map. It already has our address in there. And I'm going to apply that. And along with the map, I'm going to include the physical address of the church. So I'll copy it from the old website, add a text block here, paste it in there, and press save, and we're good to go. So on the contact page, we have the banner image with the headline contact, a form that folks can fill out in order to contact the church by email, and then a phone number, and then the church on a map. In the Get Involved folder, let's navigate to the Ministries page. The purpose of the ministries page is to direct website visitors to the different ministries that this church offers. Sometimes when building a church website, it may be tempting to have all these different ministries listed in the main navigation. Maybe it would be a drop-down folder, but then you'd end up seeing many items, maybe upwards of 6 to 8 different items listing however many ministries your churches has. And some churches have a lot of ministries. So I found this is an effective way to organize the ministries on your website in such a way that it doesn't clutter it. So you'll see that in this ministries page here, I then listed all the ministries by simply giving them each an image that you can click on to actually go to that ministry page. And all of those ministry pages are listed down here under the not linked section of Squarespace. So no one will be able to see them listed under the main navigation, but they can easily navigate to them by going to Get Involved, clicking on Ministries, and then they'll see these images. So for example, when I click on the children icon here, it brings me to the children's ministry page that I set up. And a lot of these ministry pages are simple pages with a banner on top, the headline for the ministry name, and then the text and copy that describes the ministry. So going back to this ministry page, let's take a look at how I built this page. This page consists of all image blocks. What I did was I went into Photoshop and I created these images that were 16:9 ratios here that I think they look good if you put two of them beside each other here in desktop view, and then mobile view, it'll just stack them all on top of each other. And then I found pictures that were relevant to whatever the ministry was, and then I put this purple overlay, the transparent overlay, just to kind of keep it consistent with a brand, and it makes it easier also to read the text, which I put on top using the Futura font. So with some basic Photoshop skills, you can easily create these images. So rather than having text links to click on, these are just a little bit more visually compelling for people to browse through the different ministries. And if I ever wanted to go and add another ministry, I simply click here on this icon, and you'll notice that when I have my cursor here, this black line where it's going to add the image block will add it underneath this image here, rather than clicking this one, which would add a big image underneath. So this is a little trick in Squarespace just to be aware of where you're clicking, and then I'd go in here and I'd select image, and then I could upload a new image right here. So that's our ministries page. Again, I would recommend consolidating all the different ministries to one page that will then link you to different pages for those individual ministries. This is a great way to make sure your website navigation stays nice and clean. So that's our ministries page. Again, I would recommend consolidating all the different ministries to one page that will then link you to different pages for those individual ministries. This is a great way to make sure your website navigation stays nice and clean. Within the Get Involved folder here, we have the Serve page, which I already have pulled up here. The reason we built a Serve page for this church website is to create an easy way for congregants to go on the website and fill out this form here and indicate which area of ministry they'd like to begin serving in. We want to make this as easy and simple as possible for people because serving is a great way for them to get involved and just become more committed to the church community. When people serve, they get to know the people that they're serving alongside of, and then they feel like they have ownership over part of the church ministry. So we want to make this process in which they get involved in serving as easy and as efficient as possible. So I'm just going to show you, rather than building this page from scratch, you actually already know how to build a page like this. You know how to create the banners, images, and you know how to create a form and then add the simple text here. But I'll just go into the back end of this page so you'll be able to see how I set it up. Looking at the back end of this page, you'll see the Serve page is within the Get Involved folder right here. Let's first click the gear icon, and you'll see under the site description, I typed serve and I bolded it to create that serve headline. And then under media, I uploaded this photo of someone serving in kids ministry to use as the banner image for this page. Then I went and added content to this page. You'll see a simple text block right here that has a headline, serve at Deer Creek, and then the simple body text that just says, hey, this is a great way to get plugged in. Fill out this form below, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Find a good spot for you to serve at the church. Then underneath that, I click the add a block icon here, which then brings up the options, and then I added a form block, which is what you see right here. So under the form, we'll look at the settings here. And it's a simple form. I just titled the form Serve at Deer Creek Church Form so that whoever gets the email when this gets filled out, they'll see in the subject line what it is. And then we're asking for the name, email address, phone number, and having them select which area they want to serve in. And I also made it so all of these fields are required. It's good to have as much information as you can from people when they're signing up for things like this. That's it for the serve page here. You can customize this to your church's needs. I just always recommend keep it simple and streamlined. Don't make your form super long and laborious. Just try to get the idea of where people want to go and then direct and funnel that information to the right leaders to get those people plugged in. And another option too is maybe you're using CCB or Planning Center or some church management system rather than using Squarespace's forms. You could use a form from one of those services and then embed that into the site here. In the Get Involved folder, let's take a look at the Life Groups page. The reason Life Groups is getting its own webpage for this church is that Life Groups is a high priority for this church. They want to make sure that folks don't get lost and just are anonymous in the crowd, but rather they're known and they're able to take part in some deep, authentic community at the church. So we want to make it as easy as possible for someone to go to the website and sign up for a life group. So you see I built a simple page here. We just have the banner image, a headline, and a couple buttons and some text down here. So let's look into what I did to build this page. Navigating to the Life Groups page, I'll go to the Get Involved folder here, make sure this is selected. And first, let's work on the banner area up here. So we'll click the gear icon. And underneath the description section, in order to have some text in the banner, you'll see I did Life Groups, and I bolded it. And then I, on this next line down, just wrote drawing people together into authentic community, and that was just regular text, not bolded, and that's what comes out in this format that we have here. Then I added a Find a Group button, which you see right here. And I wanted to be able to help direct them to the Life Groups directory that Deer Creek Church uses that's hosted by Planning Center online. And to do this, I wrote out Find a Group, and then I highlighted it. I pressed the link, and here I'll just show you how I did this. I'm going to remove the one I have in here. Press the link. I'll edit it, and you'll see the whole link right here. So I went to their Life Groups directory page hosted by Planning Center, and I paste it in here. Make sure open a new window selected, and that's good to go. And now I can press save, and when I'm looking at this banner area, now that turns into a button right here. And when they click that, it brings them to the Life Groups page. If you're not managing your groups in your church through something like Planning Center or Church Community Builder, I would highly recommend doing so because this is a very efficient system for people to browse through the groups and select it, learn more about it, learn about who the contact is, and then they can click this Join This Group button and then go ahead and apply to join the group. This is a good example of how your church website can actually just be a central hub that brings together all these other third-party resources that you may be using. So this Group Manager by Planning Center is one example of that. So we are simply just linking it to this button here, and then it brings them to a different website to select the group they want to find. And you'll find we'll use that for other church things that we need to do, like hosting sermon media. Maybe we want to host a sermon audio with a different service, so we're going to do that similar setup where we're just linking them. Or the same thing with the giving page. Maybe you're using Planning Center for giving and you just want to link to the Planning Center form or embed that form on the website. Here's how I would go about hosting your sermons online. You'll see this example here of a website I built about a year ago for a church that they host just audio online, so they don't do video. So that's kind of a different story, but we're going to focus here on hosting audio and then setting up a podcast. You'll see on the website we have a page that's southsuburban.com/sermons, and then on this page we've embedded these different players from SoundCloud. This top player that we have here is actually just the latest tracks at this church. So whenever they're done preaching a sermon, the tech guy will upload the audio file to their SoundCloud account, and it will automatically populate this playlist here. And what's cool about SoundCloud is you can also create some different playlists for different sermon series and such. And then what SoundCloud also does is it will push that audio feed to an iTunes podcast or any other podcast player out there. So then people can subscribe and listen to the podcast on their phones or other devices. The first step in putting your sermons online is to find a service provider that will be able to host the sermon audio on the internet. Of all the audio hosting platforms out there, I recommend SoundCloud. It really is the best way to host high quality audio on the internet so that you can then stream it to a podcast or embed it on your website. So go to soundcloud.com and go ahead and sign up for an account. You can try it free for 30 days, and then it's $10 a month after that, but it's totally worth it. So go ahead and make your SoundCloud account. So I actually haven't made a SoundCloud account yet for Churchfront, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to type in my email address. And make a password. And then put the age in. And then put in your display name. I'm going to put Churchfront. And for you, you're going to want to put you're going to want to put your church's name. Then click on your account name up here and click on profile and start updating just some of this info. Maybe put an image in, maybe put your logo here, and then put a header image that you'd like to have on here. Not super crucial, but you might as well get that done now. Once your account is set up, you can go ahead and start uploading your audio track. So click upload up here and choose the files you'd like to upload. I'm going to use a few sermons from Deer Creek Church's website, and I'm going to select all these. I'm going to upload these 3 tracks, and you can see it's going to give you a little section for each track, and then you can edit the information for those tracks. So we have the titles, and what I think I'm going to do is go in and just say by Dwayne Corey. This is the pastor who is preaching these. I don't know if he actually preached all of these, but for now, I'm just going to put his name in here. And it's just going to take a few moments for these tracks to upload. I think it's always a good idea to add images to your tracks. So maybe if you have a sermon series like they have the sermon series Digital Living right now, I'm just going to upload these images. Ideally, you'd want them to be resized to 1:1 aspect ratio to look the best. But you just go through each track, add the image. Looks like we're almost done. Once they have uploaded and they're just in the processing phase, you can actually just click save on each track and they'll be good to go. So let's go back to our main profile page here. Once your tracks are uploaded, go ahead and select the Tracks tab right here, which will show all of your church's latest tracks that you uploaded, all the latest sermons. And you're going to go to this button, the share button over here, and go to Embed. And let's select the second option here. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this iframe code right here. Now, if you wanted to change the look of the audio player, you can click more options down here. You can change the colors of like the button. You can put a custom color for whatever your church brand or look is. Maybe I'll find something that's a little bit more purple that would look more like Deer Creek's website here. And then once you're all set, go ahead and copy the iframe code in there, and then go to your website. Let's go to the sermons page. And we're going to add some code to this page. We're going to embed some code so the player shows up. So you go to add a block, and then you select code right here. And then you're going to paste it into this window. And as you can see, it's going to embed the audio player onto the website. You click apply, and that will save it. And now every time a new sermon track is added to your SoundCloud account, it would automatically populate this playlist right here. Let's say you wanted to make different playlists for different sermon series at your church. When you're viewing the tracks in SoundCloud, click on this More button for a particular track, and then you're going to click Add to Playlist, and let's make a playlist titled Digital Living. Make it public, press Save. And then what we're going to do is actually add a few more tracks. So let's add all 3 of them to this playlist. So I'll go to this next track, press More, and I'll click on the Digital Living playlist, and there you go. And same thing for this third one. The Digital Living playlist shows up right here and adds playlist. As more sermon series playlists are built, this list will get longer, so then you can filter playlists by simply searching for them right here. Or you can go ahead and create a new playlist. If you want to embed your playlist onto your website, go to playlist right here, and then you will select share on the playlist here that you want to share, and then go to the embed. And this is just like the latest tracks player that we've already embedded on the website, but you go in and you can edit the player however you would like, and copy the code, and then you go back to Squarespace, and you're going to create another embed block. You're going to embed that code in there on the sermons page. Let's say we want to just do this underneath the first one. Click code, and then insert the code here. And there you go. You'll see this playlist is the Digital Living one, and then this one is the latest tracks by Churchfront. To begin setting up a podcast for your church's sermons, go to the iTunes store, and once you get there, make sure you sign out of your personal account. You're going to go to account here, and you'll see if you're signed into your personal account, sign out, because we're going to have to create a new Apple ID or a new iTunes account, and you do not want to use your personal account to host podcasts, because if for some reason you had to leave the church, it's going to be a pain trying to transfer. I don't even think you can actually transfer that podcast hosting feature to a different Apple ID. So I recommend actually going to the account icon down here and then creating a new Apple ID that is specific for your church. So I would use an email address that is going to be one that can be passed along to whoever is going to be in charge of managing the media at your church. So maybe it is office@whateveryourchurchname.com, or you could just make some Gmail account up or something like that. Just make sure it's an email address that's not attached to anybody personally. And then go ahead and sign up for your account. A couple of things to be aware of when you set up a new Apple ID. It's going to ask you for your credit card. It's not going to charge you anything. That's just for in case if you do buy any media from iTunes, it'll have your credit card on file. So you can sign up. It's free to do this podcast hosting. And then second is to make sure you verify your email address that you use for your iTunes account, or else the podcast feature won't work. So go to the podcast section of iTunes Store, and then you're going to click Submit a Podcast. It's going to open your web browser where you can log in again to your iTunes account, and this is going to log you into the back end of hooking up a podcast. For some reason, this was really glitchy for me at first. I spent about 15 minutes trying to log in, but it was giving me this error saying I need to sign up for an iTunes Store account, which I did, and it just wasn't letting me get to this podcast setting. And then all of a sudden now it works. So I honestly don't really know why it's giving me that much trouble, because now I think when I sign in, it should work fine. It's going to bring me to the back end here of the iTunes. Yep. So if it gives you that same issue, I would recommend, number one, make sure your email address for your Apple ID that you created is verified. It's going to send you those emails. Click the links and sign in and do all that verification process. And then maybe it just takes a few minutes for Apple's computers and servers to process all this information for you to actually log into the iTunes Connect, my podcast viewer right here. When you're all logged in, you're going to see this URL field right here. This is where you're going to paste the podcast feed link from your SoundCloud account. So let's go to our SoundCloud account, and I'm going to go into the settings of the SoundCloud account, go to content, and this is going to be the RSS feed for your podcast. There are a few things we need to do to make sure everything is set up properly on the SoundCloud end of things. So the first thing when we're looking at the content settings here is to make sure that under category you have a category selected. So for this one, we are going to select religion and spirituality since we are a church. And we could add in a feed title. So I think for this one, I'll just add Churchfront. And for author name, I'll just add Churchfront. And there's a setting down here, this checkbox, upload defaults, include an RSS feed. This is good because it'll, by default, whatever tracks you upload to your SoundCloud account, it'll push to the RSS feed. So right now, I'm going to save these changes. I'm going to go look at these tracks. They actually, because I uploaded tracks already, I need to go enable these tracks to push the audio to the RSS feed. So say I were to just go to this sermon and click the pencil to edit and go to permissions, and then I would write include an RSS feed. So that'll go to the RSS feed. Go to permissions, check that. Permissions. So now these tracks are all going to be pushed to the RSS feed, and then the iTunes podcast will be able to pick that up. And we should be good to go to actually submit the feed. So we can go back to that link. We need to copy that link from the content settings here. And then I'm going to paste it into the URL and click the validate button. And it is prepared for submission. If you see a red dot here, it's probably going to give you some errors, like maybe you didn't allocate a category to it, or maybe you forgot to actually push your tracks to the RSS feed. So it'll let you know what the problem is. But again, if you do the things that I just showed you, you should be good to go. And then when you're ready to submit the podcast, you go ahead and select the submit button right here. And it's going to take sometimes a few days, even sometimes a few weeks for iTunes to process this podcast feed. So I usually submit it and then I just keep checking. In a few days or maybe a week, I'll check iTunes. I'll just search for, in this case, I would search for Churchfront, or in your case, you'd search for your church name to see if it has finally appeared in the iTunes store. And that's how you set up your podcast. Once the podcast is set up, I'm going to go back to my sermons page on the website, and I want to create a banner with a button that will instantly link people to that iTunes podcast. So under my pages, I'm going to go to the sermon and go to the settings for this page, and I'm going to write sermons in bold. And then I'm going to write subscribe to the podcast. As a call to action here, I don't need it to be bold, but I am going to link it. And here is where I'm going to put my iTunes podcast link in here. For right now, since I just submitted my other Churchfront podcasts, and we don't have the Deer Creek Church podcast up and running, I am just going to go find another podcast. How about the Village Church podcast? And I will open up their podcast, and I'm going to copy link right here out of iTunes. And then I'm going to post that link here. I'll just put open a new window. And then I also need to add my banner image. So I'm going to select an image from the Sunday morning worship at Deer Creek. I'm going to find one of the pastor preaching. Should make the most sense. How about this one? And press save. And there we go. We have our sermons page where people can listen to the sermon right here on the site, but then they can also click this button and it will bring them to the iTunes store. And if they are on their iPhone or any smart device, it'll just bring them to the iTunes app on their iPhone, and they will be able to subscribe right there to the podcast. To publish your podcast to the Google Play Store, go to Google, and then make sure you're logged in to the appropriate Google account you'd like your podcast to be linked to. And then I just Googled published Google Play podcast, and then the first result here is the correct link that we have to go to. It's play.google.com/music/podcast/publish. And that'll bring up this page here, and then we simply click this publish button. Next, you're going to select the Add a Podcast button here. Accept the terms of service. And then, much like the iTunes Podcast Connect, we're simply going to paste in the URL for the RSS feed for this podcast, which we get from SoundCloud. In your SoundCloud account, go to the upper right corner and then go to Settings and go to Content. And this is the RSS feed we're going to copy. And then make sure under this email address displayed field that this is displayed, and because Google Play will not link it if you do not have that displayed there. So then you go back to the Google Play podcast portal, and then you paste in the RSS feed, click Submit RSS feed. And it was entered, the ownership was verified, and then we can go ahead and when you're ready, publish the podcast. So click this button, and it's going to be under review for a while. Might take a while for it to get approved, but that's how you submit your podcast to the Google Play Store. Now that we have the podcast going to both iTunes and Google Play, I think it's a good idea to create two different subscribe buttons on our website so that either the iOS users or the Android users are able to select the appropriate podcast button. So in the Google Play Store, once our podcast is up and running, mine isn't up and running yet, so I'm just going to use a different podcast. I like the Brian Houston Leadership Podcast here. And I am going to click the share button in the podcast, and then copy and paste the link there. And then back on our website, we're going to add another button. And instead of having one button that says subscribe to the podcast, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to just write out subscribe to the podcast. And this isn't going to be a button. I'm not going to link this to anything. That's just going to be another line of text on the banner here. And then I'm going to press enter. And down here, we're going to make the buttons for the iTunes and Google Play. So first, I'll write iTunes, and then I'll write Google Play. And I'm going to highlight the iTunes text there, and then I'm going to find the link. We'll just use this Random Churches link temporarily here, and put the link of our podcast in there. I'd have open a new window selected, and then let's copy this Google Play link. Let's go to the Google Play Store. We'll get our link again, and then paste that in here. Open a window and save all this. And now we have two buttons. So folks can pick either iTunes or Google Play, depending if they're using an iOS or Android device. Listing upcoming events on your church website is a great way to resource your congregation so they can stay informed, they can sign up for events, and they just know what's coming up and what they can be involved with. Squarespace makes it really easy to list the upcoming events at your church. On the events page up here that we've already created, I'm going to select that, and it's going to pull up an events page that I've already added a couple events to. You see a Christmas Eve worship coming up on December 24th, and then this men's retreat that I just listed coming up on June 18th of next summer. These are just made up events just to kind of show you how I actually went about building these events. So go to the Pages section of Squarespace and select the events page here. And you'll see this is a different type of web page. It's not like a regular page. It's actually specially made for listing events on the calendar. And what you want to do is select the events page right there. And then here is going to be a list of all the events that you'll have on your events page. To add an event, you're going to go in and you're going to press this plus icon right here. And then it'll bring up this editor to create the event. Let's say we have a marriage retreat coming up. So in the top line here, we're going to put the title of the event. And then below it, we're going to select the date. Let's scroll through. Let's say it's going to happen on February 17th through 19th. And then down below here, you start adding information about the event. This is info about the marriage retreat. And one neat thing about this editor here is it's just like when you're editing a regular page in Squarespace, and you can add all the various content blocks that we can add anywhere else, whether they're images, more text, a video, maybe promoting the event, or a form. Let's say we want people to sign up for this event. We can create a form for it and edit the form however we'd like, and that's going to stick here with the event. So once you have this description all taken care of, the next page, go to options, and this is where we can add an image for the event. I'm going to select this one here. We can even edit the URL for the event. So we can make it so this one's going to be deercreekchurch.com/event/marriage retreat. Or we could put -retreat, whichever way makes sense. So it could be a memorable URL, so then you can just tell people where to go to sign up for it. And then you can also edit the location. By default, it's going to have your church as the location of it. Or if it's somewhere offsite, you can edit the address location here. And then you can share it on social media as well when you publish it. So when it's good to go, just press save and publish. And then you'll see it was added here on the events page, and it was automatically put in the proper order because it's happening between these two events. And when people are scrolling through the events page, they can select it, and it's going to bring them to this other page that kind of blows everything up here just about this event. And it's cool because they create a banner using a thumbnail image up here. And they could sign up for the event. They could also add it to their Google Calendar or their iCalendar. And that's how you create an event in Squarespace Events. Setting up online giving on your Squarespace website is really easy, especially if you already have an online giving platform such as Planning Center, Church Community Builder, PushPay, any of those great platforms out there that you use to process online giving payments from your congregation. Deer Creek Church is using Planning Center online to manage all of their online giving. I love this interface. It's super simple, mobile friendly, and it makes it easy for people to either give one-time donations or to set up regularly occurring donations. What we're going to do, like we've done already with some other platforms for different services, we are simply going to link this page onto our Squarespace website. So I'm going to navigate to the giving page. And we're going to begin building this page. So under the page settings, let's build the banner area. Let's put a banner image here. I've created this little neat little mock-up image that shows the Deer Creek's giving page on an iPhone here. And then under the page description, I'm going to write invest in eternity. I totally just stole this from Elevation Church's website because I think it's a great way. It's a great headline to have on your giving page. And then give a call to action button. Give now. And I'm going to remove the bold from that. And then I'm going to link this give now line to the Planning Center online giving page. Might as well open it up in a new window. And I'm going to press save. And there you have it. When people land on the giving page on this website, they simply click Give Now, and it'll bring them to the online giving platform. As for the rest of the page, it's up to you what you'd like to add for content down here. I like what Elevation did in that they kind of unpack like online giving. Here they have a section, and then they say you can also give through smart giving by texting to give. And then they list some other ways to give by just emailing their church, asking them about how they could donate different assets to the church. And there's some other things about finance in the church, about their financial accountability. And they list their annual report here and other great tools, even budgeting tools for their church members. So I love how this is all very practical stuff. It's all clean and simple. And it's really, again, up to your individual church how you'd like to use this, not only as a way to make it easy for people to give to your church in different ways, but also I like what Elevation's doing and actually trying to disciple people and give them practical resources on how to manage their own finances. So on Deer Creek's website, just for a starting place, I went ahead and did that similar style to Deer Creek. You have the text on the left with a button and the image on the right, and then an image on the left and the text. And again, it's so simple to do with Squarespace's editor. I just have a text block here, a button block, an image block, and then all this stuff I was able to shift around to the right place and then resize it, and it looks great. So that is the giving page. One of my favorite features in Squarespace is the cover page. Cover pages are great because they can feature a special event or initiative or ministry that you have going on in your church. For example, I created this cover page for this men's retreat. Stylistically, cover pages look very different compared to the rest of your Squarespace site. You'll notice that there's no navigation bar on top. You'll see the logo up on the top and center, some social icons down here, a simple heading with some text, and then a call to action button. And when you click this call to action button, it even does this nice little lander right here that shows the form. To create a cover page, navigate to the Pages section in Squarespace, and then let's go to the Not Linked section. We're going to add a page, and we're going to select Cover Page. Go ahead and name your cover page. We are going to call this Worship Night at Deer Creek. So we're going to pretend that Deer Creek Church is having a worship night coming up soon here. And it's going to bring you into the cover page settings here. On the left is how you edit the cover page rather than editing on the actual cover page itself. The first section you can edit is you can change the cover page layout. So by clicking here, you can select from all these different template layouts that they have for you. I'm actually going to stick with this one. I think it looks the best for what I'm going to be using it for, but it's great because there's different formats, different orientations of the cover page that you can select from down here. Once you have your layout, just go back to this section, and then it's time to change the branding and the text. Then I'm going to change the branding from being text to logo on the top here. So that's going to disappear, and then I'm going to find the church logo on my hard drive. I'm going to select just a white logo. Usually works best when you're overlaying it on some sort of image. So now the white logo is there, and I'm going to call this Worship Night at Deer Creek. And then I'm going to say, join us for an evening of worship at Deer Creek Church. I would just write something short and simple, and then maybe add some of the dates and times so people know when to go. So let's say Friday, November 11th, and 7:00 p.m. All right, and then we'll press save here, and we'll go back to this page. The next section we're going to edit is media. So we want to change this background image of Kiwi to something relevant to our event. So you can actually upload an image. You can do the video backgrounds, kind of like what you can do the banner video backgrounds on the regular site pages. We are going to select images. And I'm going to navigate to the stock photos that I have, and I'm going to select the worship image. It's going to upload, and now we have the cool worship image in the background. Press save. The next section is the action section. So we have some buttons we can create. You see they have a get notified button that links to some Squarespace link, just to, goes to squarespace.com. We can get rid of that. I actually like the get notified idea, but I want to create a form rather than just a link to somewhere else. And it's cool because on cover pages, you can just create forms that are sort of embedded within the page. So I'm going to write get notified and edit form. And we just want to take people's email addresses. So then we can just send them a reminder email for the worship night. Maybe I'll just write, fill out the form to be reminded about the worship night at Deer Creek Church, or something along those lines. And then I'll save that. And then when they click this, it turns into this cool little lander page here. And I'm going to change the name of that so it doesn't say demo form. I'm going to say sign up to notified. So I could have it say that, or I could just delete that and have it say nothing. And that is the action section. One other thing you probably would want to add, though, is another button. And let's just write website. And let's go to deercreekchurch.com so that when they land on the landing page, they actually have a way to get to the regular part of the church website by just clicking on this button right here. So that's the action section. You can also decide whether or not you want to have the social icons on your cover page by just unchecking or checking this. And finally, you can edit the style on this page. All sorts of things like the positioning, whether you want it to be the right or the left or the center. We're just going to stick with center. The imagery, it can be in a grid form, which is kind of weird. Let's just keep it on full. And it actually puts a nice overlay on your image to help read the text a little bit better. So you can see when I uncheck that, it's actually a little harder to read. And has this auto loading color as well. It actually automatically detects from this picture that the quick loading color should be this grayish color, and then it loads the image once the image is fully downloaded on someone's browser. And we can adjust the size of our logo. I'm going to make that bigger. And the fonts we can change. This is actually already the font we need for this church's brand, the Futura. And same thing with the body font. But you could change all that if you'd like. And even the button style we could change. So just like the style editor in the regular website. And you can then also edit the social icon style down here. Next, I would make sure the URL slug for your cover page makes sense. Right now, it says worship night at Deer Creek with dashes all between. That doesn't seem very intuitive. I want something that I can tell people real quickly to go to deercreekchurch.com/worship night. So I'm going to change the URL slug to worship night. And then that's going to be something that's easy and memorable for people to be able to navigate to. And that's how you build a cover page. In order to make your Squarespace site live, once your site's all built and ready to go, you're going to have to upgrade your account from the free trial version to the paid version under the billing settings. If you have this little notification on the bottom of your window here, you can just click this upgrade now, or you can go to settings and billing an account, billing, and then upgrade your plan. And then you can select which plan is going to work best. I would recommend selecting this business plan. That's $18 a month when it's billed annually, or $26 when it's month to month. And this comes with the unlimited pages, and just all the great e-commerce capability if you ever needed that, and just all the features that you'll ever need on Squarespace. It also comes with $100 of Google AdWords credit too, if you want to be able to run some ads using Google AdWords in the future. So go ahead and you'll select this, and then you'll put in your payment information, and you can select if you want it to be monthly or to be annually. And then once you press subscribe, it'll process your payment and you'll be good to go. And then your website will be live. As you near completion with your website, you're ready to link your primary domain to the website rather than using the Squarespace domain that we have up here. So when you're ready to launch your website, go to Settings and Domains, and you're going to select either Get a Domain. You can sign up for a new domain through Squarespace, and they'll walk you through the whole process right here. Or most likely, if you already had a church website and you already had a domain, you're going to be connecting a third-party domain. You're going to type in the name of the domain, and then it actually already detected that this domain is hosted with GoDaddy, with my GoDaddy account. And I'm going to select Get Connect Domain. It's going to have me log into my GoDaddy account. I'm going to sign in. And then it's going to say, put your domain to work. And GoDaddy is going to go ahead and connect this to Squarespace. And sometimes it takes a little while for this information to process. So you'll see this yellow bar right here. That means it's just working on connecting it. And after a few minutes, maybe sometimes a couple hours, it'll be green and your church website will be live at this primary domain. If you're having trouble connecting your domain, or maybe you're not using a host like GoDaddy or Bluehost or one of the bigger domain hosts out there that has some simple integration with Squarespace, you may need to go to Squarespace's support website and just search connecting a domain to your Squarespace site. And you'll be able to just open up the first article that'll come up. And Squarespace gives you very detailed directions on how to connect all of this stuff on the back end between your website and then your domain provider. And here we are. Our website is live at deercreekchurch.org, so people can easily navigate to the new Squarespace site. Although I've tried to be incredibly thorough in this online course of how to build a church website using Squarespace, there are going to be times where you're going to need some more help and support in building your site and tweaking it and just learning more about how to use Squarespace. To do that, you're going to want to select the help icon here on the side. What that's going to do, it's going to log you into support.squarespace.com. You can see it automatically log me in here, and this is going to be an incredibly powerful resource to help guide you through using Squarespace. On this website, you'll be able to search through all the knowledge and resources that they have on this site, whether it's articles that Squarespace has written, videos they produce, they have some workshops and webinars. You can also contact them directly and submit a support ticket. I would definitely recommend exploring, especially this knowledge base and these videos here, to continue to just learn these features and then find creative ways to implement them on your site to help empower your ministry and just communicate more clearly and more effectively on your church website. As you put the finishing touches on your website, I recommend going through the different pages and looking at the URL slugs and making sure they're optimized. What I mean by that is, like, for example, I'm going to go to this plan a visit page, and I'm going to go to the settings on the page, and I'm going to look at the URL slug. That's what the URL will end with up in the web browser. And rather than having visit-us-2, I want it to just be visit. So it's a quick and easy way to tell people, oh yeah, check out our church. Go to deercreekchurch.org/visit. Then they can find the specific information about what's like to visit on a Sunday. And then I'm going to look at the giving page here. And let's see what this URL slug is. It's giving, which is simple. Maybe I want to just put give. It's more of a action, and I think it's shorter, simpler, and I think you can hear the pastor saying, oh, if you want to give online, go to deercreekchurch.org/give. It's super simple and quick to remember. So go through all those pages and just make sure all the URL slugs make sense and they're not just a long list of words and numbers and dashes and stuff, because that's just going to make everything look really cluttered. One handy feature in Squarespace is the announcement bar. Click on Design, go to Announcement Bar, and then Enable Announcement Bar. And here you can type in an announcement that you'd like to make on your church website, and it's going to show up on the top of the website right here. So when I type in church is closed due to bad weather, you can see it showing up here. In a second, it'll actually show the whole text. It's just a strange formatting thing going on right now. You could add a URL to link the announcement bar to somewhere else. Or it could be an announcement about anything. So this is just a handy way that when people land on your home page on your site, they'll see this little announcement on top and they can exit out of it if they would like. So I'm going to save this. Just going to refresh the page. And now I can see it. So church is closed due to bad weather. Well, maybe that doesn't really stick out enough. I'm going to go to the style editor. And then I'm going to select the announcement bar up here. And then it's going to bring up the settings for that. So what if I want to make it a bright red? Now that's pretty hard to miss. And people will see that pretty clearly. Oh, what if I want to change the font? I could make it a little bit bigger. I don't think you can make it too big because then it won't even show inside the bar. It looks like that won't resize with it. Maybe I can make the weight of the letters a little bit bigger so it's bolder. There you go. That's a way you can make a really quick way to make an announcement for your church website. And then when you're done and you don't need that announcement anymore, just go to disable announcement bar. And that's how the announcement bar works. One of the upsides to using Squarespace to build your website is that it's simple, easy to use, and it gives you a beautiful and elegant design. One of the downsides to that is it does give you a little bit of limitations as far as to some of the design features that you can implement on your site, because really you're sort of stuck with the features that Squarespace has included in whatever template you choose to design your website on. For those of us who want to be a little bit more adventurous in our website design, fortunately Squarespace has given us that capability. When you go into design, if you want to change things, the fonts, colors, sizes of things, but it's not within the style editor here, you can actually start injecting code into your website. Now you may think, whoa, I don't know any code. And honestly, I don't know any code myself. But what's cool is that the internet and its beauty of having so much information out there and so many helpful people out there, you can actually start Googling code for different things, and it's not too hard to sort of just teach yourself how to alter the design of this website by injecting some code in here. And one of the most helpful resources I found is called Square Studio. It's at squarestud.io. And this website provides lots of different plugins that you can use on your Squarespace site. So go to their website, go to plugins, and you can browse through them. Let's look through their new and popular plugins here. So for example, they have a plugin that gives you video controls for video backgrounds. That's cool. This is called a lazy load plugin for images if you have a gallery in Squarespace. They have different type of image sliders for galleries. You can have these accordion drop downs on your website that are really cool. Different gallery styles, testimonial sliders, just all sorts of cool things. Even like this animated intros feature here, that was pretty cool. You can change the look of the blog summaries on your websites if you're using blogs. I just love this site because it just helps you implement more creativity into the design of your website, but you don't have to know code, because what happens is when you purchase these plugins here, they'll give you the code, but then they'll also give you a step-by-step tutorial video on how to implement it on your site. So check this out and maybe try a little bit of custom coding for your website.